Alright, for step 2 in the reloading process, we have to resize this brass. This brass is range brass. I just picked this up when I was at the shooting range, and it has been fired, and so it's got a primer stuck in it with, you see that dent in the center of that primer. It's been fired, so it's now an empty case. And so what we need to do is remove that primer and resize this case back to its original factory dimensions. And the way you do that is with a sizing die. This is part of a short series, and so it's a summary, and I'm not going to include all of the myriad ways that you can do this. I'm just going to do the simplest way, and I'm going to use some Imperial sizing die wax. And you don't use much of this. You put just, a thin film on your fingers and put it around the case body like so. You don't want to get as much between the shoulder and the case mouth. This area just right here needs to stay clean, but around the case body, that's where you want your sizing die wax. And then you can use your finger to rake around the edge so that just a tiny bit gets on the inside of that case mouth to help it slide up over the sizing ball inside of that die. Now the die that you want to use for this is the one that's got the decapping pin sticking out of the bottom of it. This is a Redding full-length sizing die for the cartridge that I'm reloading, 300 Blackout. Going to run that. You'll be able to see that the shell holder and the bottom of the sizing die are touching. You want to make sure that you go all the way in with a 300 Blackout, because if it doesn't bump that shoulder back to the factory setting, it could jam in if you shoot it in a different rifle than the one that fired this. Now I'm going to push back toward myself on the bottom of that shell holder just a little bit so that it engages the rim on the bottom of that cartridge case really good so that it doesn't break it off, because 300 Blackout and 223 like to stick in there, and that's a bad scenario. You don't want that to happen. And now I can take the case out, and it's brand new dimensions. It is shaped exactly back to the size that it's supposed to be for loading, and as you can see, the primer has been removed. You can see light through there. Now the next step will be to tumble these clean.